Right, Jay, come on, let's do your Frank Spencer.
Yeah, look, that goes on there. That goes on his shoulder.
Are you?
Right. Do
Gundam! Oh, wait, sorry.
10, 3, 4, 2, 1, 0. Act 1, go.
Wait.
September, what's the date? September the 30th, 1984. Jason is 9 years old.
Frank Spencer thing.
He don't sing, he says...
What no, what? I know.
Got a little bit of trouble.
Yeah, but what's his name?
Frank Spencer.
This is Frank Spencer. I don't want to see you.
Don't look at yourself on the TV.
Look up here, Jay.
Look at the camera.
Look, Gundam. Wait, sorry. There, baby.
Don't look at
I
the
think
telly.
I'm gonna need a bit of trouble.
Not too.
Now I want to sing you a song. Why don't you? Why don't you? Why don't you go, go, go and shut your mouth too?
No, you've got two near.
No, that's being silly, that isn't it? If you'd done it properly like before, it would come out very good.
Hey guys, I want to do your impression. Like rock on dummy. Rock on dummy. I'm gonna do you dummy. I'm glad about you dummy. I'm mini dummy.
Right, let's see what happens.
Oh, don't bother me. You still got the cover over the lens pole. No, you ain't.
It's a bit dark in there.
Put the big
I
light
can't
on.
see your faces properly.
Put the big light on. Anyway, not seeing our faces.
Got me,
Dad. Got me.
Oh, let's go in the other room.
Got me.
Do your pose, Cheryl. Do your
I'm
pose.
doing it. Got me, Dad.
Yeah, I'm just zooming you in, Cheryl.
Have you got...
God, I'll zoom you out
Did
again.
you zoom Gertie in at the front there? Is there enough?
I'm not being dirty.
Paul, is there enough lens to zoom Sharon in and out?
Yeah, it's like...
No, it's not. It's
Did you
just...
get me then?
Yeah, well, let's do it now. Go. I'll do it now.
Bring them back up. Joyce, you go, David.
Yeah, well, let's go now. Give me behind you.
Oh, I like it.
Yeah.
Yeah. Right, start taking them off, Cheryl.
Oh no.
Da, da, da.
Yeah, he's
Start taking them
go.
off.
Mark, you're going to catch yourself a light.
Yeah, can I go now, Paul?
No,
Boy, don't be coy.
I don't like my
Martin, over there.
I don't blame you.
Come on, Mum. Smile. Smile for the camera. Dirty sod. You bleating make my rouge go. Look, I suppose I've got a nice pink cheek and one bloody pale
What drink's
one.
mine?
Well, that one's mine.
Is that mine?
Who's this? Am I sitting with the children at Shaw's, John?
I'll be over on Facebook page.
Very nice, Jim. That's it. Let me zoom in first, Jim.
Jim's going to get his maggot out. You better get a good zoom on that day.
No,
Just a minute, Paul.
Linda's
Well,
told me all about
we
it.
won't be able to see it.
Where am I sitting? Over here. Just a minute. On the end. On the end. Right, big table.
Roy, give us that plug from over there.
I'm doing it.
In the wall.
Right, on the end there. Come on, quick.
Sorry, Dad. I don't know.
Cameron, what's
I
that?
don't know. I just got in there.
Yeah, but John's sitting there. John's sitting where?
Oh, I like that.
I refuse to give up this comfortable seat.
Excuse me, David.
That's right. She don't know I'm doing it. She actually keeps eyeing it.
He's got a right there, Sharon. I'll look at you.
Karen.
Oh, that's
Hello, David.
How would you say that for, Roy?
That's what you wanted to look at.
Jay, Jason, do a bit of Frank Spencer and over this way, Paul.
Oh, look. Have you got a clock,
Oh,
please?
I've got three microphones.
Yeah, sit down.
Ring, ring, ring.
There's your Andy.
And we ring, ring, ring.
No, you're too close, Jace. You're not focusing.
Sorry, then. Pat.
I'll get him shoot.
Oh, go on.
Now listen, I'm going to camera now.
Hang on, Jace.
Jay, do Paula.
We've done it, look.
I thought I told you you weren't allowed
Now,
to fix it.
what do you mean, Jack? Somebody's got his first. Shout.
I'm sitting over there.
Yeah, I know.
No, go over your mind, thank you.
Don't want
Cheers.
Right then.
Cheers, old man.
Why?
Can you have tea at Burnley as well, or did they kick you out?
Yeah. Oh, go now.
What's the gravy?
Oh.
Jason,
Jace, go and get some sauce over there, mate.
Oh, if you don't take that thing away. Dean,
It's my fault.
Jace,
Shall I say slurp the
put
carrot?
the gravy on the that table.
Karen, shall I say slurp the carrot?
I didn't even realise it.
Sit down. This is cold, don't make me a fan.
Well, don't worry, your tape's not going round.
This is.
Sit down. Come on, eat your dinner.
It's the only thing I've ever to know is take that money.
As soon as we got roads up here, it's better off
Right, can't you? You look like a Dalek, Jill.
Come say a few words, boy.
My vote is
We
now.
are gathered here today. Is the sound on?
Yes.
Yeah.
Oh, I think that's enough of that. All right, that's all right.
Joyce.
No.
Joyce,
Joyce, can you pass it over, please?
why? Wait a minute. Oh, she's not close. Yeah, but I don't. I just leave it away.
Jason, I just know. Have you got Jason's fringe on that?
What, that bit there? Pop, look, that bit there.
Yeah.
Joyce, did you done something that
Oh,
Edgar's
that's
fair?
better. Yeah.
Cut your son's fringe.
Well, where'd you have Jason's
Shall we stop the film?
We've blown a bowl.
Yeah, but it should still be straight, even
I think
though...
I'll screw in a bit more.
Well, I've got to
Then.
stop the film from. I never took him John.
Look at Cherry, Linda.
No.
Come on, look at Cherry.
Where'd you have?
This is Linda.
Age,
With big eyes.
age 55.
This is a very good wine. We bought it all the way from Spain. We peeled the bottle all the way out.
This is Dennis. He's just come into some money, so he's let us all have a drink on him.
Another lot.
Jace, love. Jace,
This is Roy. I don't know what to make of him yet.
Hey, boy, can you screw in?
Eh?
What?
This is Karen. Karen!
What?
Karen! Look at Birdie.
What was phrase that?
This is Sharon. Sharon's my middle daughter.
Mum, I'm not in that film, love.
You are?
Oh, yes, you ain't. No, it's point over there.
It's pointed there.
Karen,
Cheryl?
come on, darling.
Yeah, it's on me now, but it weren't on me before, was it?
Right, this is Sharon, Cherry's middle what?
Daughter.
Middle monster.
Prettiest. Sensiblest.
Well, no, not
Yours is
exactly.
I am.
This is Pat.
Yes, it's me. Sharon.
He's Irish, so you have to excuse him a little bit.
Nice, is it? Hey?
An Irish Jew.
Pat, Sharon's misfortune.
Irish
Good
Jew.
fortune.
Oh, and there we are with James again, man of the family. Oh, and Dennis, look, sweet Dennis. Look at him, look.
Oh, dear.
Poor sod, he's losing his hair. That's down to Joycey.
Yeah, of course.
Right.
And his money.
I get the blame
This is
for
Joycey.
everything.
Everybody knows Joycey by this part of her anatomy.
The money belt.
You don't want to waste the camera out on me boobs. They've never seen anything like these before, you know.
That's her face, but we won't go into that.
This is Gertie.
let's do Cherry now.
There's Jason. Alright, Jace.
Give us pain, got to put breakfast.
Show
Show you maggot, Jason. Show you maggot.
Hi!
Oh, let's have a little video, Jason.
Mustn't do nothing like that, Jason. Don't take notice of
What
them.
they call pornographic videos and that. What is that blasting away in the other room?
Ain't much in it, eh? Who can we put you on there, Chel? Let's put you on there.
I'm on it.
Is that one of your records, Joyce?
Is that the radio?
I did have it on just now.
It is on, the light's flashing. It is on.
Get your fingers on the old Jill.
Oh, someone go and put something decent on.
The big bag come through,
No, the
yeah?
other one.
All full of sweets and everything, yeah?
Oh,
I
hang on,
looked
Chel,
at the
don't
note.
tell it yet.
Well, it's not a joke. And I looked at the note and I thought, that must be birthday or something.
They like nothing, honestly.
Happy Yom Tov from the ladies of the Jewish synagogue.
Anyone want a wine?
Yom Tov. I don't know what Yom Tov is though.
Karen?
My favourite record, this is.
Hold on, drop a wine.
I've still got
Joan of Arc, isn't it?
Is it the reason why you're not having wine in front of the glass? No, I'm not. Is that last one? I got mine.
Cheers, Jay.
Got that joke, Jim. Got that joke, that Jimmy Jones song.
Sharon.
Look, wait, what's happening to Mummy now?
Hang on, Mum's got a lady here.
You keep looking for it. What's happening to Mummy?
She's drinking something.
Yeah, she's coming up close to you. I'm going away from you.
Yeah, comment. It's in my arm. He's not well.
You're going away. He likes it now.
I'll have it off. If you bring driver Israel, you drop it off.
No, I ain't filming that, Paul, is it?
He dropped his arm off.
How'd you turn it off?
The button shell.
Well, that
Hold on properly, James. Bowling sensible, so I'm playing for the cameras now. We're on telly, Viv.
Oh, come out of it. Do it properly.
Cherry, there's sand on this, dear.
Sorry, dear.
Yeah, look, play up here.
Oh, look,
Yeah, it's much better.
Master Dennis is getting rather worried about windows.
Yeah, let's find out. I'm getting a bit worried.
No, there's too many windows
No,
here.
there's no windows.
Go on,
Where's the wicket?
up there.
We can put them down now.
Right,
That's
ready?
so silly, Chair.
I don't do it silly, Chi.
We'll go through the fence.
He's going to bash him in.
Right, they bleeding bowling, they'll be over there.
Don't follow me.
Where's the bowling point? Here, Jim, do you reckon?
No,
Just
right,
there.
back a
It's
bit.
got to be
Just
here.
here, Jim. Could be there.
Dry. Can't get a good run up.
Don't follow the pie. Oh,
Hey,
that's
there's a spoon
alright.
there.
Yeah, I'll get you another pair.
I'm going to leave you alone with there.
Yeah, I'll eat another pair. Oh, don't fold it high. You might go up. Oh, now look what you've done. Don't fold it.
Please leave.
Yeah, I fold your bowl.
You know I want focus. The bleeding focus is on manual.
You're supposed to take the lens off.
Cheryl.
I'm supposed to take the cap off.
Out!
Yay, yeah. My thing.
You made me jump then, Roy.
I'm silk jump.
Oh, you wicked.
Go on, you have a bowl.
No way.
First
Don't
aid.
me. Don't bowl them over, please.
It went right through your wicket, didn't it?
Right through the wicket.
Jason's turn.
What's the prick off?
Tell her for, Jay.
behind. It's up in the tree. It ain't come down. It ain't hit the ground.
No, it got here.
You hit it straight on your wicket. Unlucky you're out.
Cleaning the wicket.
No.
Ready, Jace? Whoa. Help! Oh, he's not.
No, it's nearly out, though, wasn't it?
It wasn't your middle leg, was it? Oh, right there. Not like that.
Hello, John.
Oh, wow!
Why not?
He made me go like that to catch it. He went, where you put stuff? Down.
Get clever, man. You
Smack me on the head a bit harder. John, where'd you come from?
Oh!
Bounce
You're
up.
going too high, James.
Hey, Blackie! Let me, Blackie.
You got to get it over that first drive on the ledge, isn't it? Quick run, Jace!
Leaving the birds are running away.
Oh!
That all comes
He's
down.
in it.
The sand.
To go! Oh, we done the landing.
Right.
How many times have you been out?
It's been caught in the slips.
I'm alright at the moment. I'm alright at the moment. Haven't you got him out yet?
Yeah, about 3 times.
Get him out now.
Middle, stop!
Yeah.
Oh, no, stop laughing. Tell the camera how you're injured, Jace. Tell the camera. What happened?
Ball.
Well, he bowled a bouncer.
Dennis said. Dennis is batting it.
Jason's still in.
No, he ain't. He come out. You're not your middle wicket.
You
now,
retired
come
first.
on. Well, that's not our fault if you had your thumb in the way. Mine, let John have a
You
go.
retired hurt, Jace. You can't go back in.
Ow! No.
A bit dangerous up there, Jake. Oh, you go back.
Oh,
You
nearly.
can have another go in a minute. No, we're doing this shot yet. We're doing this.
John's not the one video for a couple of minutes.
Suck it then. Where'd he go? Do it properly. In the rough
Sit in the
bit.
fence, in the bush.
You got it?
I've done right, Jace. Just. Just it. Just it.
Ooh.
No, yes, thank you.
I'm looking after it for you. Do you want any Sprite, Vivian?
Hi, Captain. LW.
Dennis is back.
Go back then.
Dennis.
Didn't even strike the ball. Jason, come down here. Look at that shot. No one else get it with his bat.
catch it, right?
Please put me down.
All right, stop crying.
Right, ready?
How do you like sitting on people's shoulders?
Oh, Dennis, come
I've
on.
played this for years.
Oh,
Hang
shows.
on. Can I just try it?
What do you like? Oh, nuts before.
Right, this one.
I thought you were leaving Kitty.
One bit.
On my camera, John.
Yeah, target.
Right.
I found it, you go.
Take his go, John. Oi, don't knock them pears off.
Oh, God. Bleeding arms ache.
Hang on. That goes right over you, Ed.
Yeah, that's best to. It's all on. If you want to zoom in and out, let's turn that either way.
Get the camera, I might be rolling in a minute. You want to see stuff right, don't you? Don't get a picture of the tree.
Come, John. Slowly, then.
Can I have a kick, please?
No.
Quick crap. Talk this outside.
I want to see you sit down and eat all the tea up we give you tonight, and then after you can have a kick.
Put his back in the line.
First ball lock gone. Yeah, I'll get another one. The door's locked.
I think you're out for that, any Judge? John, you get the ball out. Lose it.
What, I've got about another 30? That's what we play. No,
Where am I? I don't know where I am. Do you keep the other eye open?
Yeah, I've got another one.
We've got the ball. You put ball, it won't down there. Yeah, if you say so. Excuse, I want to play cricket. Excuse, we're playing cricket, alright? Bye.
Don't put your hands on it.
Now, what's your step?
What's that?
That's the step.
No, I don't think so.
Ready, John?
Well, you do get that ones, don't you?
Dad, you
Hello,
wanna be on
Dennis.
cricket?
All right.
Linda.
She's there. She is.
Dad, you want to be on cricket?
Right, she's drinking then. Quick, bring the video in. Bring the glass up, Lou. No. I want to try. Who can't pick up a glass of coffee? I'll bring the picture glass now. Oh, you've got a long one. I'll pump you, alright? I'll pump you up with black coffee.
Don't sign up for my one now. Can they say? Oh, I didn't know. They don't even knock that over.
Get one in the eye.
Don't you stop.
Is that you, Lynn?
Yeah, that's it. No, that's alright. It's gone. Dennis, what are you doing?
You got me, you got me, you got me.
Get him asleep.
I can't pat you on candid camera.
If you don't leave me alone with that camera, I'm going to tread on it.
Rebecca has won. Charlotte has been defeated all the time, keeping us from one another. She knew that this would happen.
That ain't bad, is it? I bet when you weigh up your cost and that,
Yeah.
there can't be much, you know, out of it, can there? $2.75 for a litre, I thought was pretty good. And the white one we bought was,
Jimmy's bang well
wasn't
there.
it? It was $3.25 for a litre. I thought that was pretty good.
No, that other one, yeah. Leaper Mill, was it? That was nice.
And that's Marx's, yeah.
He's captured you.
3.25 per litre.
You not got bad dandruff, Lynn?
No, I haven't got that yet.
I think it's too dark in here, Ben.
I'm right under a light. Ta-da!
Yeah, you ain't got the light on.
No, I've got to get a really powerful lamp.
To do it, but outside should come out all right. Yesterday, you had that video thing on the tripod there. And that
Got no balls there?
no, that balls have gone.
You suffering?
What, wrong one over?
Good as flowers to go
You get enough of your flowers, Steve?
Who?
Oh, wait a minute, they go like this, didn't they?
Yeah, alright.
They did, though, did they?
Yeah.
Oh, Jimmy, this is from getting me back on the leg. Miss.
Spinners now.
Jim, what's the matter? Can't you see it? It's down here, Jim. No, it ain't, it's down there.
That was a pear. Jill, that was a pear.
Jace, go over back and get it for me. It's screen over there. You can get through there, Jace. Jace, get through there.
There's what's in there? There's absolutely no.
Now, James. Ready? Jim. Now.
They're John's new ones.
Where did John go, Jay?
Well, once if they go any more go, you're going to have to get through it, Jace.
Get the camera. Ben.
What are you doing in here, Joe?
Jimmy! That's somebody's garden.
It's the mole.
There's
The
no
mole's
wasps.
come up.
There's no wasps down there.
Joe.
What?
Hello.
Hello, Dean.
James,
James,
you
you
shut.
get through there. I nearly got through there.
Oh, listen up.
Bailey, Bailey.
We went over there with the intention of doing a lot of cooking. So he said, "Is that horrible man again?"
They got me getting through the hole.
Turn it up.
They've lost most of your balls.
All the balls are there.
See that thing there, look?
Yeah.
Yeah, and that thing there, you push that either way, you bring them closer or take them further away.
It's either closer or
No one likes to stop it.
Press it.
Chill. I don't know if it's going. It's going.
It's going, yeah, it's going.
Yeah, it's
You want beetroot?
Sorry, that's not quite right, this week.
I found a knife and not a fork.
Man.
Mummy, I found what I found.
Jim, I don't really want you to
Mummy, I
eat
found a
it.
knife.
Oh, it doesn't matter, James.
Paul, shush your bow.
Sort of,
Little Bo Peep.
Joe, we got apple pie.
Oh, this is Cherry and Paul.
And the fruit. Hi. I think everyone that's going to see that knows this one. Hey, what is the flies on the table, Drew?
It's here, Joyce's. Tea at Hillbilly Farm.
This is Dear Auntie Joyce's on 29th of September 1984.
30, isn't it?
So,
We've got to...
Mousies. Mousies. Mousies? Look at little mousies. Mousie.
Just what the hell do you think you're doing?
Mousies.
Don't you ever do anything so stupid again. The humans must never see us eat. Never.
Roy Silk, Timothy West, Gillian Lynn, Barbara Dixon, Arthur Marshall, and Frank Muir. Goodbye.
This Saturday, as part of BBC Two's Shostakovich Festival, the Fifth Symphony, one of the composer's most popular and powerful works, performed by the BBC Welsh Symphony Orchestra and conducted by Maris Janssens. Shostakovich's Fifth Symphony this Saturday at 8:15 on 2 and broadcast simultaneously on Stereo Radio 3. There's comedy on 1 now in Sickness and in Health, and Alf gets some unwelcome visitors who decide to hold a séance. Viewers in Northern Ireland can see Spotlight. And comedy comes to us here on 2 in half an hour in the form of Alas, Smith and Jones. But first we rev up for another edition of Top Gear.
In this week's Top Gear, Honda revised their popular hatchback, the Civic, but does it meet today's requirements? Birmingham provides a venue for those keen on all forms of driving and riding. Can the Wheels project still help in cutting the crime rate? For the 70s, the car of the decade stays front-wheel drive, this time the Alfa Sud from southern Italy. And an unlikely form of circuit racing using the distinctly unpromising motor scooter. Well, hello and welcome to another Top Gear. And with the start of the Lombard RAC Rally only 10 days away, we look at the art, or is it the science, of rallying, as our resident racing driver, Tiff Liddell, puts his racing skills to the test on the mud and the gravel of this rally driving school. We've also got details of a competition that could put you, if you want, behind the wheel of a car in next year's rally. But we start this week with the Honda Civic, first seen at Motor 87, I've been driving the first right-hand drive version, fresh off the boat from Japan just 3 weeks ago. The Civic has been around for 15 years now, which comes as something of a surprise when you reckon it up. But it's certainly been a winning number for Honda because they've sold over 5 million vehicles in that time. The 1987 version, which was first launched at the Frankfurt Motor Show in September of this year, we looked very briefly at the car, has been sufficiently revamped for them to call it a third-generation Civic. What they've done as far as the body shell is concerned is that by reworking the suspension, giving it double wishbones all round, they've been able to lower the car by a good 2 inches, giving it a more aerodynamic body line, a larger and more steeply raked windscreen. And they've also lengthened the wheelbase a bit to give more space for passengers, particularly in the back, and a bit more boot space. Apart from that, there are very few changes in the external shape, although, as you'd expect, of course, in a car of the 80s, they've cleaned up the outline by having flush-fitting glass all round. Now, I mentioned the extended wheelbase. That has pushed the boot space up to 9 cubic feet, enough to take 2 adult-sized suitcases, you can see. And you've got the usual arrangement whereby you can split the rear seat to take longer items. Now, the other area of major redesign has been the engine. It's all alloy, both the head and the block, 16 valves, an overhead camshaft driving new lightweight valve train. Comes in 2 versions, 1.3 litre giving 75 brake horsepower, 1.4 litre producing 90. A very compact little power unit. The inside has generally been handled very well. The new suspension has enabled them to achieve this very flat floor, plus an extra inch of headroom in the back, and it certainly feels very spacey. And the driving position is a good one, although for my money the seats run out of support at about shoulder level. But let's drive it. Well, the handling is undoubtedly very good indeed. They've done a great deal to stiffen up the car, so there's no lean on the bends even at speed. The steering is neat and precise with a very good turn-in, and the car doesn't leap about all over the place, even on rough and bumpy country roads, as is so often the case with the smaller, lighter car. As for the performance of the 16-valve engine, well, this isn't, of course, the sporty version of the Civic, the CRX, so the performance is pleasing rather than exciting. Acceleration is 0 to 60 in just over 11 seconds for the 1.3 engine car, just under 10 seconds for the 1.4. But at motorway cruising speeds, the engine's very relaxed, well within its capacity, and there certainly isn't excessive engine noise in the cabin. In fact, they've done a great deal to reduce noise of all kinds. They've redesigned the engine mounts, for example. They've used a newly developed floor pan called the dimpled floor pan, covered with a thickish absorbing layer to cut out a lot of road and engine noise, and it certainly works. The car is relatively quiet at motorway cruising speeds. What don't I like about the new Civic? Well, there seems to be nowhere inside the car to stow anything. Honda's design philosophy happens to be technology for human beings. Well, most human beings, certainly this one, use the car as an extension of their living space. But there's nowhere to stow a map or a pencil or a packet of sandwiches or a pocket calculator. Apart from that, though, the new Civic is what we've come to expect from Honda. A very good, very functional piece of motor engineering. The Honda Civic 1.3 Deluxe has a 1343cc engine producing 75 brake horsepower. Maximum speed is 105 miles an hour. The 0 to 60 time is 11 seconds, and fuel consumption averages 43 miles to the gallon. The price, £6,850. Now, we sometimes criticise on Top Gear for seeming to encourage what might be called, I suppose, over-enthusiastic driving, because, of course, we show items on rallying and motorsport, and that competitive spirit may spill over into some of our road tests. Well, of course, we are enthusiastic about driving. That's one of the main reasons why we're here. We also have a primary commitment to safety and following all the rules of the road. And over the past half dozen years or so, we've searched around for interesting approaches to solving driving problems. Well, one such approach, we believe, is being practiced by the Birmingham Probationary Service in response to the problem of teenagers borrowing cars for joyriding. Sue Baker reports.
car theft is a growing problem. Last year, 411,000 cars were stolen, and a high proportion of them were taken by youngsters joyriding. So how do you stop them? The Birmingham project has been trying out a novel approach.
5 years ago, I couldn't have walked across here. All this was just a vast toxic waste dump overlooking Birmingham city centre. But that was before a scheme was devised to transform this into a project for disadvantaged city centre youngsters to channel their energies in new, healthier and more exciting directions with the Birmingham Wheels project.
Brainchild of West Midlands Probation Service, it was created as a wheeled adventure park where young offenders could, for example, build and race banger cars alongside members of the public. The aim was to reduce street crime, initially in the West Midlands, but eventually nationwide with similar projects in other cities. We first visited Wheels 2 years ago to see how well it was meeting its aims.
Yes, it's bringing in large numbers of kids of all ages and kinds to take part in all the activities that you've seen here. And it's serving the very roughest and most difficult of Birmingham's young people.
Does the site have commercial potential?
The purpose of the place is for local young people, and the commercial activities are secondary to that, and indeed were only envisaged as making money to pay to administer the thing for kids.
But not anymore. It's now a much more commercial concern. The original 8-acre site has expanded to 40 acres. Originally a city refuse dump, the site had no commercial value due to its toxic contents. With expansion of the site, more facilities are available. The oval banger racing area is now in use. This race organised by the local probation service. And there's a £40,000 speed skating rink and roller hockey area. And that's not the only new facility. A tarmac surface has been laid at a cost of £20,000, greatly improving the karting track. But the biggest change has been the withdrawal of the probation service from day-to-day running, now undertaken by a wheels company with charitable trust status. Is it still meeting the original aims and helping the people it was intended to?
I think our original aims of being attractive to young inner-city people is still there, in that we are still attracting them in large numbers, and we're very pleased about that.
But you're now a commercial concern and you're going to have to work in a more profitable way. Isn't there a danger that eventually you're going to price some of the youngsters out who this project was intended to help?
We're very aware of that possibility and that danger, but we, at the same time, are very concerned to make sure as far as possible that that doesn't happen.
But we found that some people disagree.
It's changed dramatically from being a concept where young inner-city youngsters, those that have got massive social problems and economic problems, could actually come and be encouraged to take part, use expensive equipment at very reasonable rates. It's gone from there to being put on a commercial basis.
The karting area seems to illustrate this. Local kart enthusiasts helped design and build a track on a disused car park, and Birmingham Wheels Karting Club was formed. To the club's dismay, the concession has been handed over to a businessman to run as a commercial operation. The club fear they'll now be charged as much as £4 a driver for practice sessions and restricted to racing only on 16 Sundays. Already operating on a site next to the karts is the British School of Motorcycling, running both basic and advanced rider training. They say they're paying a fair commercial rent, which helps subsidise other activities. But with expanding commercial interests, is it now adversely affecting the local groups who use the site?
There are a number of other groups that are unsatisfied, and the growing dissatisfaction has perhaps come to a head at recent times, and we have actually recently formed an association now called the West Midlands Association of Motor Projects, of which representatives of other groups like ourselves have got together with a common interest of trying to negotiate better access to the track, trying to negotiate better terms and better conditions.
There are some local organisations who are saying that they cannot get access to your facilities when they want them. They have to wait for months on end, and they feel so strongly about it that they're banding together to try and do something about it. What's your answer to them?
Well, I'm surprised to hear that, and my initial reaction would be that I think that's a reflection really of where we're at in terms of developing the site. So I think that whilst there may be a little bit of frustration around from one or two of our users, we're trying to respond, and I think they know that, and we are working very much in partnership with our groups.
The Wheels project was held up as a national example, helping to reduce crime and providing a healthy outlet for deprived inner-city youngsters. Our fear is that it is now becoming too much of a commercial operation.
Well, Sue Baker there with sentiments I'm sure we'd all endorse. Now, if you're looking for an outlet for competitive energy, you'd hardly expect the humble motor scooter to be the right vehicle to choose. Well, some people think otherwise, as Chris Goffey's been finding out.
Scooter racing is one of the fastest growing sports on two wheels, with over 400 licensed drivers throughout the UK. Years ago, scooters meant mods, but that image of tiger tails, parkers and chrome panels is changing, and these enthusiasts are aiming to get their sport on the map. But how would you get started in scooter racing?
You would join one of the 82 affiliated clubs that we have in the United Kingdom. You go from Southampton to the north of Scotland. That will entitle you to come along to a race meeting, go through your newcomers, which you've got to do. It's a form of training, if you follow me, for the racetrack, and then into racing itself in any of the 7 classes. We also promote a street class, which means a young lad who has a scooter at home in the garage, Dad's scooter as there was, he can bring it along and he can join in and compete as long as the bike is MOT and taxed.
Scooter riders can enter classes ranging from standard scooters to specials and even combos. Full racing leathers and approved helmet must be worn to comply with the full safety checks and scrutineering that are imposed. The cost? Well, you could spend up to £2,000 on a second-hand scooter and any repair work needed. You need a trailer for transporting the machine, your leathers and your entry fees for a season's racing. But apart from that low cost, what is the attraction of the sport?
Well, it's very difficult to describe. Racing, I think, may be almost, and it seems to be like an instinct. Some people can do well, some people don't. The difficulty for me is maintaining concentration. At the front, it's difficult to remain motivated, and I tend to do that by thinking to myself, the next lap, I am going to break the lap record, or the next corner, I am going to find the fastest possible line. And by continuing to do it that way, or if someone is in front of me, I really do go for them. If there's a guy in front of me, then for that race or that lap, I hate him.
The combination class offers a different challenge. Here an engine of up to a mighty 322 cc's provides the machine power, and the sidecar and passenger call for very different skills in handling.
Well, you've got to get a good passenger for a start. He's most important. Without having a good passenger, then you're all over the place. But with a good team and a lot of teamwork, both trying together and reading each other's thoughts, then you can manoeuvre the machine left and right quite stably. But for a right-handed corner, I'd move here, turn the bars into the corner. My passenger would move behind me to transfer weight onto the rear wheel here. Now, if the front end were to drift away on the corner as I'm opening the throttle, he would conversely move his weight forward. And then if it was flicking the back end round, he would move his weight backwards and over. On left-handed corners, obviously, a different turn of the wheel there. He'll move out to transfer his weight to the sidecar wheel because that becomes light, and then he will manipulate weight and move between the sidecar wheel and the rear wheel to get drive, etc. on coming out of corners into the straights. I think mainly we don't have a lot of spectators because the sport isn't really advertised. I mean, we've got a good, cheap, competitive sport here where every man most of us do our own work in our own backyards and sheds and garages, and you can go out there and have a good day for very little. I mean, in comparison to bike racing, there's no comparison at all for the cost.
So, scooter racing looks like a very attractive way of going racing on a shoestring. And if you fancy it, get out there to the back of your dad's garage and dig out that old Lambretta. A bit of work, and you too could hit the track.
Well, now for something entirely different, because in our Car of the Decade series, we've reached the 70s. And we've pressed Tiffany Dell into service, this time in a non-competitive role.
Top Gear's car of the 70s is the Alpha Sud, a totally new car from a totally new factory in Naples. The 70s saw the rise of a new breed of performance car, the hot hatchback. But cars like the Golf GTI and the Escort XR3 came after the Alpha Sud. Originally, though, the Sud was neither a hatchback, nor was it particularly hot. So why should it be chosen? The real reason is that for a car of this size, the handling was superb. People had grown used to the Mini cornering as if it was on rails, but they didn't expect that sort of road holding out of a car the size of the Allegros or the Citroën GS's. The motoring press, they all raved about the road-holding capabilities of the new Alpha Sud. Autocar said it was the best front-wheel drive car yet. And they even went as far as to suggest that other manufacturers got hold of the Alpha Sud as soon as possible to see just how to do the job properly. And lo and behold, 3 years later, Volkswagen came up with the Golf, which was to prove the car to beat in the future. So what was so good about the Alpha Sud handling? Well, the very positive turn-in felt through the rack and pinion steering provided very stable cornering. There was limited body roll, and it was sure-footed all the way. Now we're probably used to this sort of handling, but at that time it set the standards for the future. So, how did they produce such good handling in a car of this size? Well, they started by building a brand new flat four-cylinder engine and mounting it ahead of the centre line of the front wheels. That meant that the engine could be mounted very low in the chassis, thus providing a very low centre of gravity, which is always sought to provide increased road holding. There was conventional McPherson strut front suspension, and unlike the Mini, there was a beam axle across the rear of the car, firmly located, and also providing a certain amount of rear wheel steering, if you like, almost thought of as a modern concept, but something which rid the car of some of the inherent front-wheel drive understeer. So nothing very innovative, everything had been sort of done before, and yet the geometry was very good and the suspension generated excellent cornering forces. So, why didn't such a good design concept create the most successful car of the 70s? Well, sadly, the simple reason is one of poor engineering. The Alpha Sud soon created rust bubbles all over the place, the wings fell off, the door sills became rusty, and really, we're very, very fortunate to have such a pristine concours example at our disposal to try. Also, the door hinges on these wide doors proved to be far too weak, and the doors soon started to snag the sills. Added to that, the 1200cc engine meant the performance didn't live up to the handling. So, by the time a bigger engine had pushed up the power by 50% and the body had been cut open to make it a hatchback, Alfa Romeo found the Golf GTI firmly established as the car to beat. The Alpha Sud continued into the 80s. By then, the trend it had started for hot hatchback saloons to be the car for the young enthusiast. That trend had spelt the end of the mass-produced two-seater sports car. Now, the same fun could be had driving a family saloon that was also a practical, everyday car. When the Alpha Sud first appeared at the Turin show in 1971, it had an 1186cc engine giving 62 brake horsepower. Acceleration to 60 took 15 seconds, and the top speed was 92 miles an hour. 2 years later, it sold in the UK for £1,399. Current values would be around 400, but the very rare good examples could be worth 10 times that much.
Now, November is Lombard RSC Rally Month, the sporting event that draws more spectators than any other in this country, attracted in part at least by the chance to see superb car control on some of the worst road conditions you can imagine. But what kind of skills does it take to drive well at rallying, and how do they compare with those required on the racetrack? A question given added point this year by the fact that Derek Bell, the current World Sports Car Champion, is having his first go at rallying, and everyone's asking, how will he get on? Well, a couple of months ago, Tiffany Dell came here to Bill Gwynn's International Rally School in the Midlands to see what it was like to swap the tarmac for the loose. And Tony Mason, our rally expert, came to see how he got on.
A disused airfield in Northamptonshire bears little resemblance to the forestry stages of the normal British rally. At least the tyres are less intimidating than trees, and that's a comfort when Bill Gwynn's sitting alongside some pupils who really haven't got a clue.
One that springs to mind is the guy we set off in first gear, and I sensed straight away that we weren't going to make the first corner, and we spun in 20 yards. And he kept doing that the whole day, not because he was wild, he just had no idea how to drive a car.
Did you have to tell him the truth?
Well, we helped him a little bit, but we had to tell him at the end of the day that it wasn't wise for him to go rallying.
Never thought of fitting dual controls or anything?
Well, we do have a little aid on our side of the car which does help us calm the wild people, which helps restrict the engine revs quite a bit, and I use that quite often to calm people down.
For Tiffany Dell, this was his first experience in a proper rally car, albeit a conventional rear-wheel drive Escort. So how did he think he was going to shape?
Oh, I'm not sure how I'm going to shape. I expect I'll be disastrous, but basically, you know I can drive a car, but I'm here, you know, to learn the art of rally driving.
When you're ready, we'll go. Okay. Right, away you go. Go into second gear, and keep it in second gear around the corner. Now back off the power a little. Now power it. Now right-hand lock. Now back off the power a little.
Do you believe, therefore, that you can learn to drive in competition?
I'm a great believer that even at the highest level, at Grand Prix level, that maybe they should have coaches, as Bjorn Borg maybe has a coach for tennis. I think you can always learn. I don't think anybody can say they know everything. I think you should always look, listen and learn.
Brakes, power, second gear quickly to the left. Now to the right, not too much power. Back off a little bit. OK, now go. Get first gear quickly.
Bill? I've lost the course.
Straight on.
I'd like some trees. I think it might make it a bit more realistic. I think I might get a bit carried away. It all looks a bit safe here, whereas rallying is very much about having those trees all around you and the dangers. But maybe it's nice to learn in safety.
And a few 100-foot drops we should have perhaps provided.
Oh, no, that really put me off. Trees, maybe.
Hang on to that wheel. Second gear, quickly. Get it back on the stage. Keep off the power. Keep off the power till you got it back under control.
I think we're in the trees there, aren't we?
I think we took half a dozen trees with us.
How did it go?
Well, I don't know. Maybe you ought to ask Bill that. But I certainly enjoyed myself. But I think the approach was probably, I tended to go a bit over the top. And one thing I noticed with Bill was very much the economy of movement, the economy of steering and of throttle use. I was blasting from here to there and everywhere and catching tyres and this and that and the other. But very enjoyable.
Now, you've had Tiffany Dell here today. How did he fare?
Well, extremely well. I mean, he suffered from the normal racing driver problem at first of expecting the car to go round corners by turning the wheel 1/4 of an inch. But once he got over that handicap, he was a very quick learner, and just really as I'd have expected a man of his experience to be, you give him a car with 4 wheels and he'll make it work. It's just that he's got to adapt the new technique of rally driving on the loose surface and forget his tarmac driving.
It is very much the anticipation idea of setting the car up much earlier for a corner than you do in racing. Racing, you go in deep to your precise turning in point, turn in there, get on the power. Here, you need to set the car into the corner well before the apex, otherwise you tend to miss the apex because the car travels so far sideways. And then just being economical in power, not punching in too much. It's very easy to sit there on a big opposite lock and think I'm going quick, but with Bill you see the economy of movement. Really, that's it, the economy of movement on the loose.
It is tight into the left, then some power, a little bit of power to the right, don't let it run too wide, then round to the left, smooth power here, play with the steering a little, then round to the right.
There's a great thrill in controlling a powerful car on a loose surface, but once a pupil's initial exuberance is tamed, it's down to the slog of learning detailed technique. Bearing in mind the fun of his first hour in the Escort, could Tiff contemplate following Derek Bell and taking up rallying?
Well, yes. I mean, not really as a career. I think I always prefer the sophistication, as I might say, of our circuit racing, of motor racing itself. But certainly the challenge of all forms of four-wheel motorsport, you know, attract me.
What do you think of rally drivers in general as a breed?
Well, they seem to be a pretty good bunch. They're certainly very brave, and they certainly show amazing car control. But obviously, it is a different technique to circuit racing.
Why don't racing drivers generally adapt to rallying?
Well, I think they have a very easy time on the circuit because they have boards which tell them when to put the brakes on, and the circuit is basically always the same lap after lap. And they get into this situation where it's their thing, and they can do it very well. To move into rallying means an awful lot of effort and a lot more physical work, and the fact they're going to have to be out of bed a lot more.
Now power it. And to the right. Good, well done. That's much sweeter. Keep it going. Brakes on hard. Second. Oh, Tiff, I think we're back in the trees again. I think we went into that hairpin at about 30 miles an hour too quick.
Well, Tiffany Dell there obviously enjoying himself, no doubt thankful that these tyres aren't actually trees. And of course, anyone can come here to get the benefit of expert tuition, provided only they can foot the bill. And it costs a great deal more, of course, to run a car competitively to earn the chance to enter a major international rally like the Lombard RAC. Now, we're in the fortunate position of being able to offer one lucky person a shortcut into the driving seat, and I mean the driving seat, in a car in next year's rally. The selection process starts now with 2 questions that I'll give you in a minute. In next week's programme there'll be 2 more questions. Then the Radio Times of the following week there'll be the final pair of questions plus a tiebreaker plus the entry form. That will form the first round. The people selected from that first round will be invited to regional heats in the new year, and then the winners of those will go forward to the national final. Now, the eventual overall winner will drive a Nova in next year's rally with the full support, the full backup of the Vauxhall Opel team. So to the first 2 questions, set, I may add, by the Metropolitan Police Driving School at Hendon. Question 1, during wintry weather, road surfaces can become ice-covered. One indication is the fact that generally, A, there'll be an increase in road noise, B, there'll be a decrease in road noise, C, there'll be an apparent decrease in speed, and D, there'll be an apparent increase in speed. Question 1 then, so note down your answer A, B, C or D. Question 2, the right-hand edge of a motorway is marked with studs. What colour are they? Are they A, red, B, green, C, amber or D, white? Now, there'll be 2 more questions next week, also printed in the Radio Times, like the first 2 in the feature on page 94 of the current edition. And one final point, anyone can enter, provided only they're over 18 and hold a clean driving licence. Well, that's all for this week. Next week's programme we have more on rallying as we look at how Ford have selected their chosen novice for this year's Lombard RAC. We have more of your car complaints, car commercials, we look at how they're made and the MOT test. Is it still doing a good job? So until next week, it's goodbye and drive safely.
The 9 o'clock news is now on BBC One. And on 2, in a moment, alas, Smith and Jones.
On BBC Two tomorrow, Woody Allen reveals his philosophy on love, death, sex and matters arising.
It doesn't take me that long to do a script, and I don't shoot them interminably. So 1 film a year is not, you know, it's not that big a deal. It's difficult for me to to do a picture with someone that I don't know at all, because you never know what's going to happen. I have no idea whether the person is going to be easy to work with or difficult or is ready to work in my kind of style.
Oh, don't, Boris, please. Sex without love is an empty experience.
Yes, but as empty experiences go, it's one of the best. It would not bother me if someone said tomorrow, you can never make another film. I mean, I'd probably get up in the morning relieved and relaxed, and because I enjoy writing. I'd like to be remembered as someone who made at least 1, if not 1 or 2, really great films.
Everything you always wanted to know about Woody Allen. Tomorrow at 9:50 on BBC Two.
Tonight at 9:30, 40 Minutes looks at South Africa through the eyes of two very different people in Girls Apart. Before that, we join a couple of entertainers with a lot in common. Alas, Smith and Jones.
You might step out, sir. Is this your car?
What do you think of that, then? Got a nice pair of tits, hasn't she?
Good evening. Tonight I'm joined in the studio by the Labour MP Ron Davidson and by the former Conservative Cabinet Minister Sir Ian Gravesend.
Good evening.
Sir Ian, you recently crossed swords with Mrs Thatcher over government policy, which resulted in your much publicised demotion from the Cabinet.
Yes, indeed. I would just like to say that although I do disagree with many of Mrs Thatcher's policies, I am still very, very frightened of her indeed.
Yes, of course. What changes would you like to see in the way that she's running the country?
Well, I think I'd like to see less emphasis on the economy, privatisation, defence and education, and more time devoted to the weather. Yes. That is why we in the Conservative Party should be promising to make the weather better.
I don't believe it. The Tories are now promising to make the weather better. Everybody knows that the last good summer was in 1978 under a Labour government.
Your bank holidays were a disgrace.
13 years of Tory misrule between 1951 and 1964, and it pissed it down every day.
I'm sorry, Ron, that's absolute hogwash.
Well, let me tell you now that a Labour government would make as a priority to put money into the inner cities and make it very, very sunny, very.
Could I just ask where this good weather's going to come from?
No, let me finish. Within 2 years of a Labour Party taking power, Liverpool, Manchester and Sheffield would have average year-round temperatures in the high 80s.
This is pure fantasy, surely.
And sandy beaches with palm trees and little
Why should unemployed people get sunny weather anyway? I mean, there's no incentive for them anymore.
Well, the unemployed are perfectly entitled to sunshine. The people I'd like to see getting the bad weather are the rich who can afford to pay for their own private weather.
Well, the weather in Russia is terrible. So much for socialism.
Well, let me tell you, it's been nice and sunny in Cuba since Castro got here.
I'm sorry, gentlemen. I have to interrupt you there. Sir Ian, Ron, I'm terribly sorry. I have to interrupt you there, as we are now going over live to Soweto to join our South African correspondent, Michael Fish.
Why weren't we warned? That's what I wanted to know.
Coffee?
Lovely.
lovely. How's your diarrhea?
Last week, Inspector Reginald Bribesy and Sergeant Adolf Porno were hot on the trail of the notorious Mr. Big, whom they had traced to Villa Grande in Spain.
Good evening, gentlemen.
Yes, good evening, miss. Would you excuse us for a couple of tits? Tits. That's not Mr. Big, is it? Well, she could be related, sir. It's a possibility.
You're looking for Mr. Big?
In a manner of speaking, miss, yes.
Well, he's my father, and he'll see you in the library.
Thank you very much.
Well, he wasn't there, sir, was he?
It's the superintendent, you see. He blames me. He always blames me. He blames me for the press getting hold of the Mr. Big debacle, see? I've got to find some way of showing the superintendent just how brilliant I really am.
Yes, indeed. Well, you get the ruler and I'll get the 2 short planks.
I'm going to arrest someone.
Righto, sir.
I can't tell you anything, Inspector, honest. I sell whelks on a corner of Halsey Road. I'm innocent.
So, you won't talk, eh, Jacko? Well, there's only one thing for it.
Oh, no.
Yes, it's electrodes on testicles time.
Oh, no!
Set up the equipment, Porno.
Righto, sir.
I'll tell you everything I know.
Go on, give us one more electrical surge.
You know one thing you notice as you get older?
Now, what's that then?
It's like how time passes so quickly, doesn't it?
Does it?
Yeah, I mean, one minute you're a young man with your old future in front of you.
Yeah.
Next minute?
Oh, 60 seconds has gone by.
I mean, do you know it is over 20 years since Sergeant Pepper came out?
Is it really?
20 years.
Oh, dear, oh, dear.
Makes you think, doesn't it?
It does. Makes me think I ought to buy it sometime.
You never heard Sergeant Pepper? Sergeant Pepper? Oh, it's only the best record ever made,
Is
mate.
it? Is
It was 20 years ago today. Sergeant Pepper taught the band how to play. It's going in and out of dates. Yeah, 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 yeah.
Sounds mob.
Oh, it's brilliant. Brilliant, brilliant. Yeah. Do you know something? Sergeant Pepper was the first record I ever bought.
Was it
Yeah.
really? Yeah. What, you nicked him before that?
That's right, yeah. Yeah. Well, I was a bit of a tearaway in those days, but what days they were.
Oh, they was.
The
They
60s.
was the days,
The
yeah.
60s, I tell you, can I tell you something? The young people nowadays, they've got no idea.
No, of course they don't. They don't even know they're born, do
No,
they?
well, they weren't. They weren't born. They weren't born.
No, they didn't even know they wasn't born.
I mean, look, but okay, look, nowadays there might be some good rock groups
right,
around.
yeah, a few.
Obviously, people nowadays like listening to today's bands.
Yeah.
But can you honestly tell me, in the last 10 years, has there been anything to compare with something really great like Chirpy Chirpy Cheep Cheep?
No, there wasn't much to compare with it then.
What?
No, was there really? No.
Oh, those were the days. Do you remember that? Swing in London.
Yeah, where was that?
London.
London.
Swing
oh,
in
yeah,
London,
in London.
yeah.
Oh. England swing like a pendulum do. Yeah. that's
Centre
right.
of the universe it was,
yeah.
Centre of the universe.
Yeah.
For youth culture,
right.
rock music and
Rocky
fashion,
music and pop
from the
music.
King's Road in Chelsea to Carnaby Street in just off Foxford Street.
That's right, yeah.
Oh, yeah.
Oh,
I mean,
yeah.
London was the place to be.
Right. Where were you living then?
Devon. No, but it's fantastic. It was. Do you remember those days? Yeah. The 60s was one big loving.
Yeah, it was for me.
Was
One
it?
big loving behind the bus shelter in 1967. I didn't get another one till 1979.
Because, you know, I was very into the hippie culture.
Were you?
Oh, I was very influenced by all the West Coasts, you know.
Well, you will be down in Devon, I should think.
No, West Coast America.
How do you mean?
Los Angeles, San Francisco, New York, you know. Oh, yeah. I was one of the beautiful people. Yes, I was, yeah. It was a bit before I met you, of course.
Yeah, I think it must have been. It's been as ugly as sin since I remember.
Look, tell me, remind me, who was the big rock star who choked to death on his own vomit?
Jim Morrison.
No, the other one.
Keith Moon.
No.
Janis Joplin.
No.
No, Mama Cass.
No.
Frank Ifield.
No. Jimi Hendrix.
Jimi Hendrix.
Jimi Hendrix.
Yeah, that's right. What about him?
Well, he choked to death, didn't he, on his own vomit?
Really? Who'd have thought it?
Yeah, mind you, great stuff, wasn't it? Jimi Hendrix, the music.
Oh, that was my favourite. How did that one, that big hit, he come out? How did that go? Which,
No. You're thinking of,
No, that's stupid. That's Jimmy Page.
Oh.
You're thinking of...
That's unforgettable stuff. Yeah. Marvellous tunes, marvellous.
Who wrote that?
Lionel Bart, I believe.
Did he really?
Yeah, it takes you back listening to that music, and it takes you back. Do you remember all those fights, the bank holiday fights down in Brighton, on the beach with the mods and the rockers? Do you remember that?
Of course I remember. I was there, mate.
You wasn't?
Oh, well, yeah, I was right in the thick of it there, mate.
Did you? I didn't know that. What were you, a mod or a rocker?
No, I was a deck chair attendant. It's a terrible way to race up and down the beach, chasing them rods and them moppers up and down. I'll go up and down, and they never give you the money or nothing.
What funny. Oh, yeah, it must have been terrible. But it was a terrifying time, that, because you noticed everybody, it was very, what they used to say, was very tribal.
Was it?
Everybody was part of a tribe, you know what I mean? Like coming, because I mean, in those days, of course, I was a mod.
Was you?
Yeah.
Because you're a skinhead now, aren't you?
Yeah, all right. What about you? What were you?
Well, me? Oh, I don't know.
Well, I mean, what did you look like?
Well, I had long hair, obviously.
What, you had sideboards, did you?
No, we had a cupboard to keep it.
What sort of clothes did you get?
Like a big purple shirt, right, with twirly whirlies on it like that.
What, paisley sort of thing,
right, yeah, with a big 9-inch collar.
Oh, you had a big collar.
I had a 42-inch kipper tie like that. It was a huge thing.
Oh, yeah, I know.
And then I had...
Did you have flared trousers?
Well, to a certain extent, yeah. I had them sort of purple velveteen crushed loom pants.
Oh, what, you mean like the ones you were wearing the other night?
That was the ones I was wearing. That's what I had them, and then I had a big Afghan coat, like made with the hairy bits, right? And then I had the beads, and then I had a little tattoo saying I love Simon D.
Oh, I get the picture. Yeah.
So what do you think I was then?
A bit of a prat, I suppose.
Useless gunships, drown rats, U-boats, German spies. Don't relax until Grandma's sober. Grams is ripe under gooseberry sky.
John had that extraordinary ability when writing songs. He'd see a line in a newspaper, it could be anything, and he'd mold it into something really quite beautiful. And then his imagination would just... unbelievable.
I read the news this afternoon. It's naughty knickers week, and it's always sun.
On another occasion, Lennon saw an old circus poster. It became the inspiration for his song, The Old Circus Poster.
Quixote and his acrobats, some clowns and several other brats are here tonight. Before we turn him into glue, the horse will dance a waltz or two by Johannes Strauss. The evening sounds extremely dull, so I shall spend it out of my skull at George's house.
Yeah, it's really weird, that thing about Lucy in the Sky with Diamonds. Because everyone said it spelt LSD, right? But actually, if you think about it, it spells L-I-T-S-W-D, which is Litswood. And actually, Litswood is a little village in Wales where John used to go on his holidays, you know, as a kid.
So it had nothing to do with drugs?
No, nothing at all. No, it was just hype, that, yeah.
What about this song?
Desperate remedies, useless gunships, drown rats, U-boats, German spies. Don't relax until grandma's sober. Grams is riding on the gooseberry sky. Delta Roger, Uncle Gold Sugar. Delta Roger, Uncle Gold Sugar.
Yeah, well, I mean, he was stoned out of his mind when he wrote that one. Obviously.
Yes, a lot of people ask me how I get the distinctive and unusual Beatles sound. Well, let me show you something. This is what a cymbal sounds like. This is what a cymbal sounds like backwards. And this is what a cymbal sounds like when Ringo plays it. Okay, Ringo.
Following the album's release, a rumour got around that Paul McCartney had died. This absurd but nonetheless widespread belief sprang up when various people found what they believed were veiled references to his death, both on the album cover and in the gibberish recorded on the outtrack.
Where does it have to say like the more? Where does it have to say like the more? Paul McCartney is as dead as a dodo. Paul McCartney is as dead as a dodo. Paul McCartney.
Good evening. Look, people who complain about police brutality just don't understand. All we're doing is simply leaving a mark so we know who we've eliminated from our inquiries.
People who brought you the video nasty, now comes the ultimate stomach-churning experience. The video nice. Starring Keith Harris and Orville. Can you take the Care Bears? The horror of Bonnie Langford, the terror of the people's friend. Can you face the stomach-turning ghastliness of synchronized swimming in Thora Heard? And just when you thought it was safe to go back in the playroom, My Little Pony. Certificate. Kiss, kiss, kiss.
Stop it now, and we'll start again.
This is, well, it's me, isn't it? Today, we're doing all about doing sport. So let's go outside where they're doing it. No, but seriously, let's go outside where they're doing the sport. We'll switch it off then. Now, here's a young man we think may be the next Daley Thompson. Of course. And now it's Shell with the number 5 vest. But if you ask me, this is what's wrong with a lot of British athletics today. When it comes to it, she just doesn't make the effort. Never mind, here's a woman who's big in Peckham, big everywhere. Rumour has it she's on drugs, mainly aspirin and Valium. But she makes an effort and oh dear, falls a bit behind there. Oh, there we are. That was the excitement of, Anyway, let's go over there. Oh, just a minute. Oh, yeah, I understand. Oh, yeah. All right. Yeah, well, there we are. In a football match somewhere, the score is 2-1, and both of them from penalties. So let's go over there live to putt in the shot. This great putter shot. Let's go over to it live then. Well, it was live when we filmed it anyway. Where are you going? Bloody rubbish, isn't it? Well, who's going? Feed me bloody self, don't I? It's typical, ain't it? Frank Boff, don't I? It's bloody trouble.
Come on, Len. Come on.
Thank you, Dad. And here we are, it's the young Daley again. He's limbering up for a bit of putting, and all our middle hopes are resting in those hands. All right.
God help us. I'll shut up for a bit and let us just wonder at his marvellous athleticism.
Talking about measuring, you stupid cow! Give yourself up!
Hello, it's me again. And that was putting the shot. Now it's time... Oh, just a minute. Hello, yes. Oh, well, there's more news from the football front. Liverpool are getting a fine old thrashing, 11-1, so they're bleeding all right. Now it's time to talk to somebody all about doing sport. Come in then. Hello there, Peter.
Hello, Dad.
Shut up. Now, what is your favourite sport?
Nothing. At school, we do lots of sports.
That's interesting.
Can I go now?
Well, there we are, sports lovers. That's all we've got time for. So until next time, bye-bye.
Everything all right, sir?
Yeah, I'm just fiddling the box. I don't know if anybody read the Sunday Times.
Well, I certainly don't.
No, well, you can't read, Mel, so... no, but if you did read the Sunday Times, you may have seen an interesting article which went under the headlines, BBC Pay Shock.
Yeah,
Did anybody see that?
yeah, that's right. Well, it actually turned out to be a revelation about Terry Wogan's salary.
And apparently, somebody in the BBC had leaked the details of Terry's salary, which apparently stands at 400,000.
400,000, which is an extraordinary amount to earn in a year.
Yes, an even more extraordinary amount to earn in an afternoon.
Now, we would just like to say how disgraceful we find this. It's terrible.
Absolutely dreadful.
Appalling.
In the interests of fairness, we ourselves have raided the BBC files in the middle of the night. And in my hand, I have details of some of the fees paid to the nation's favourite faces. So, where does the licence fee go?
Well, those two seem to get a fair slice of it.
To Ronnie's PLC.
Or, as they're known in the business, the Fifth Channel. Joining them in the big league...
Bob's full bank account.
And, of course, Les Dawson and his blankety-blank cheque.
And topping the lot, of course, this man.
Michael Fish. Weatherman and international Playboy millionaire. In a pioneering deal, Michael gets over 200,000 per forecast. And over 4 times that amount if he gets it right. Yeah,
These two, yes.
Yeah.
Well, unfortunately, there doesn't seem to be a record of what these two did.
I think it's sort of vulgar to discuss money anyway.
Yeah. Well, it is when you earn as much as we do.
Yeah.
I mean... I've got a great promotional idea for Geoffrey Archer's new book. We're giving away 2,000 copies at Victoria Station. Coming, darling! Terry, can I have a word, please? What about? It's about Michael.
Stand by, stage management, Frackman.
Don't ignore me. I've got to talk to you about Michael.
Can't it wait, Tony?
No, it cannot wait. I am not going out on that stage again unless you do something about it.
Oh, dear, what's he done now?
He hasn't done anything. Tony, Michael is dead.
Dead?
Yes, he's dead. He's dead as a door.
He's dead as a doornail. He's been dead since we started this run.
Has he?
He was dead at the read-through.
No, I think he was just tired at the read-through.
Terry, you spend most of the show shunting him around in the blackouts and tying him up to the furniture. You know he's dead.
Yes, I'm sorry. I just didn't know anyone had noticed, that's all. Does everyone know?
We have to say his lines for him.
He's just... Everybody loves him, you see. He's such a dear old pro, and
For heaven's sake, don't get me wrong. I love him, too. He's a lovely,
Well, he
dear,
is.
sweet old man. And I love working with him. It's just, he's beginning to smell a bit. And
I could have a word with him about that, okay?
Terry,
Okay.
he's got to go.
All right, I promise, by the end of the week.
Promise?
Promise.
I wouldn't mind. He's getting all the laughs.
Coming, darling.
Because the human body is the way it is, you need a deodorant that you can trust. A deodorant that really works. A deodorant like new, extra powerful Always. We subjected new Always to the ultimate test. We took 2 recently dead people. One we covered with new Always extra powerful deodorant. The other we covered with another leading brand. Then we buried them. And 6 weeks later, we dug them up again. How did they smell? First, the one covered with another leading brand. Oh, dear. But what about the one covered with new Always? Well, there you are. New Always extra powerful deodorant. It keeps right on working, even after you don't.
The world of television was rocked today by allegations in Parliament that the BBC was heavily overstaffed. We go straight to Television Centre for an on-the-spot report.
Here at the BBC, the allegations are being taken very, very seriously indeed.
Well, and on that sobering thought, that's all from us. Good night.
I'm standing in the middle of a lake. Oh, I don't know why.
On BBC One now, Felicity Kendall contemplates her next move as the mistress. Here on 2, in a moment, 40 Minutes looks at South Africa through the eyes of 2 very different people. Tomorrow on BBC Two, The Duty Men follows the fortunes of passengers checking in through the red and green customs channels.
I suppose it is a sort of a sixth sense, but people give off vibrations if they're nervous about something or if they're excited about a particular situation. Then after a while you can latch on to this and you realise that something is not right somewhere.
What do you think it is then? Well, just said drugs. I've no idea.
Sir, we've got 3 kids to fetch tonight.
Yep.
You know?
Listen, I didn't ask you to bring her here.
A guy from the West Indian country came in and he was carrying an overcoat over his arm, and he was asked to put his baggage up on the bench, and he appeared reluctant to let this overcoat go. And so the officer, after insisting that he put this overcoat down, then proceeded to walk off down a green channel because it had a monkey sewn into the lining.
The Duty Men patrol the red and the green tomorrow at 9 on BBC Two. Now on to Girls Apart present their own very different views on South Africa in 40 minutes.
Apartheid has marked South Africa since many years ago. I think that this was certainly a negative aspect, but it has been very natural, the division between black and white in South Africa. Nowadays, apartheid isn't applied in South Africa anymore, and I don't think that anyone has any reason to say that apartheid still exists between black and white.
The most important thing in apartheid is that the black men don't have a right to vote.
Sylvia and Siska are 16-year-old South African schoolgirls. Siska is Afrikaans and lives in one of Johannesburg's exclusively white suburbs. Sylvia lives just 15 miles away in the black township of Soweto. They have never met. Yet both come from families which, within their own community, are considered politically moderate and reasonably well off. We asked Sylvia and Siska to tell us about their lives and the South Africa each of them believes in.
The reason why we agreed to this filming is, I think, because we want the outer world to get a clear vision of how it really is in South Africa. I know many countries and many people have a total distorted view of how it really is, and by showing the rest of the world how it is, their view of South Africa may change.
Come on, let's hear it for the Wits drum majorettes.
I hope that the criticism against South Africa will stop. I don't mind the sanctions or anything else, but as long as the outer world have a clear view of South Africa and don't have to criticize any longer.
I decided to take a risk to be involved in this film because of the information that the other countries are getting from their matchboxes about South Africa. And that's a lying, of which is probably a propaganda, because they're not telling the truth. And I'm not trying to say South Africa is a bad country. What I'm trying to emphasize the point that all the black in South Africa need a help from other countries, because the government of South Africa won't listen to them. So I think it's better when I take this risk and to be involved in this film for the people to get enough information about the black in South Africa.
Hey, nee, wacht. Twee fucking honden zo weer zo. Je moet gaan zeggen, je weer terug. Is die tweede keer naar de keer? Nee, pas toe, kapitein. Hey, je moet dus af.
I think South Africa is the country I want to live in. I wouldn't change it for any other country in the world. Although the sanctions applied against South Africa complicates the situation a bit, it makes the competition tougher, but I think it does make South Africa a stronger country, and I wouldn't change it for any other in the world.
Soweto is a very dangerous place to live on, and the reason to make it be dangerous because we are having thugs in Soweto. I think why we have many thugs, it's because of the oppression that people are having and even the unemployment of many black people that are unemployed.
Maybe you want a hot potato.
I have never been in Soweto, but I can imagine the houses as any other community or suburb in Johannesburg. But since I have never been there, I couldn't say for sure how it looks like there.
This is a living room. It's so we sit as a family and watch the TV and we eat, and my uncle sleeps here on the floor. My house is not big enough for my family. This is my bedroom. It's my bed. I sleep here, and my cousin and my aunt also sleep here, and the floor is just put sponge. Sleeps here on the floor. This is my mom and dad's bedroom. This is their bed. They sleep here, and my baby brother. And this is our kitchen. And we got a coal stove. So there's a electric stove, but usually we use the coal stove when we're baking, and we cook on electric stove every day. The white man house is nice, big, expensive furniture inside, with many rooms and nice gardening. And who looks after that garden is the black man. It's nice, and with swimming pools outside and some playgrounds for the kids.
This is the sitting room. It is not used as frequently as the other rooms. It is mainly used when we have guests. And this is the room that my mother uses for teaching speech therapy. This is our dining room, where we have dinner parties and where we eat on Sundays. Down there is the family room, where the piano is and where we watch television. And here is the kitchen. Up here are the bedrooms. There is Douglas and Neil's bedroom, then it's Lisa Marie's, and at the end it's my parents' bedroom. And this is my bedroom. This is Julia. She's our maid and she has been staying with us for about 3 years. She stays here. She is married and has 2 children, but they stay in the homeland and she visits them during holidays. Outside here we have the swimming pool. Downstairs there we have the maid's quarters and their garage. And the tennis court has just been finished, so we're finishing the paving. Apartheid is seen as blacks and whites totally apart and not having any interference with one another, not being in the same schools or sharing the same facilities, say for instance in the bioscopes. But this situation is not implied in South Africa anymore. We share a lot of things with black people or other colored people.
Apartheid is a division between people in color. It's because, for instance, in Johannesburg, we are having toilets for whites, blacks, and not just for ladies or gentlemen, just whites and blacks only. Apartheid means when blacks people have to live in dirty townships, but whites are living in nice townships. I got up early in the morning at about 6 o'clock to get out to greet people outside, come back in the house and wash my face and make a breakfast for the whole family. We eat, and after clean and go to school. My father worked as a driver for international company, and my mother worked as a typist.
Hey.
Speeding fine. 15 minutes. 10 paying context.
The first day when they came here, the police, they were just jumping the fence because we have locked the gate and the door was locked. When they came, they just pushed the door and they are threatening us in the house because we didn't know what is happening outside. When I just opened the door, then they were just inside the house and smashing us, and the children was in the bedroom because they didn't know what is happening. So later they asked, where's Sylvia? So we said, no, we don't have the child in that name, see, because we're trying to save her life. They had a young boy with them. Then that young boy, and then just pointing fingers, and then said, Sylvia is this young lady. And then they took her.
They drove to a police station, then before you get to your cells, they have to interrogate you. They ask you questions. If you don't understand or you don't answer them positively, they just connect some electric wires, and they don't hold you if they put that electric wire on you. They just put you through the clothes and you feel shocked and very much painful. Then maybe they put it for 2 minutes. After you said, they repeat the question again and ask you. If you don't answer it again, just keep on putting that electric wires on you. they were taking me to point some other comrades in my area. So I direct them the wrong way. I take them to zone 4. They were drunk. I saw them that they're drunk. So I have to do something. So I think that how it would be if I push the door, maybe the door will open. Fortunately, the door opened when I push it. So I just ran away from the Kumbi. Because that day, they gave me nice food and drink, milk. You see, just like trying to seduce. So I just ran away from there, and they shoot after I've run away. It was at about 8 o'clock in the evening. They shoot 3 bullets and they missed. So I've got the chance to run away from there.
I want to be married when I'm about 27 because I want to finish my studies going into a medical science direction, and I want to carry on with that profession after I'm married. I plan to have about 4 children, but I still want to have my job even if I have children. We're a family of 6. I have 2 brothers and a sister, and I'm the oldest. My father is a legal advisor, and my mother is a speech therapist.
All right, we'll give you...
Obviously, every day you would, yeah. And you'd like to stick with people that share our own interests. Obviously, every nation wants to.
Well, let's say, for instance, that with the elections coming up, for instance, the Progressive Federal Party take over, and that that within a short space of time, the whole education system is changed to allow black people into the schools. How would you feel about that? Would you object to that?
No, I don't
No, not at all. I won't object. As I've said, there will be some...
What happens if they flood the school?
No.
Do you think that's possible?
They won't flood the school. Every nation wants to be with his own people, and even if it is open for all nation groups, then there will obviously be some other nation groups coming into our schools to see how it is, or to try our standard, or to try to speak the same language, learn more about another nation. But the average they would stay with their own people. Even we would stay with our own people if we were given the chance to.
And what do you think, Tessa? What do you think?
Well,
Give it a chance.
I think that all the schools should be open to any pupil, because I feel it is fair.
Yes. Okay.
The government want to divide us. Some they are writing exam while others are in detention. So this is not good. We have to be equal as we are fighting to be equal in South Africa. So all the students should be released and come and write their exams.
Which country does Stalin come from? If I'm asked, it's come from Russia. Churchill?
Britain.
Churchill from Britain. Roosevelt? Henry? From United States of America.
10, 4, 10, 5, 10, 6, 10, 7, 10, 6.
mind going to a school where blacks as well as whites go to, but I feel that I would rather be surrounded by white people. I think each nation wants to be with his own people, and it's a very natural situation, but I wouldn't mind if the schools were open for blacks as well as whites.
There are black kids who are working in Johannesburg City, they're selling papers, and others are working for the cars. And these people are not at school, and they're during the school hours because they don't have enough money to go to school. And after they've done that, they just ask for 20 cents to 50 cents. I like going to church, but I'm not going every week. And most important thing, like in church, that Christian movement support all political movements with peace, praying for all detainees to be released. So that's why I like, because they're always thinking of other people who are not with them at that moment, whether the people are Christian or not, but we knew that God is there with them.
I don't think I would like it very much if my brother would marry a black woman, because of the fact that although the apartheid has been taken away and the relationship between black and white has improved a lot, it doesn't necessarily mean that blacks has to marry whites to show that there is a better relationship between black and white. We can share the same facilities, go to the same schools, and there can be many interactions, but marrying a black woman or a black man doesn't take away apartheid.
I wouldn't mind if my brother or my sister married a white person, because in South Africa, previously we were not allowed to marry with whites as far as politics were concerned. So people, they fight for it till the government allowed that a black man should marry with a white man. So it will be good and nice for the people to get mixed.
I wouldn't approve if one of my children were to come home and say that they wanted to marry a black person or a person of any other cultural group. I know that it's the one thing that a parent should not easily get too involved with is the choice of a child of a marriage partner. But certainly when it comes to one's child marrying someone from a different cultural group, and I'm not saying racial group primarily, I'm saying cultural group, then I would do my best to try and dissuade such a child from taking that course. I don't know how authoritarian one would be. At the end of the day, it is the child who has to make the choice and has to sleep in the bed that he or she makes for himself. But I think Elsa and I would certainly try and dissuade the child from following that course.
I mean, if you have to cut out your child out of your family, that would be losing a child. So we would try to keep the child rather than disinherit them completely.
Well, I don't think one would go that far. One would just be very concerned that the likelihood of a successful marriage, the likelihood of happiness for your child would be very greatly handicapped if you were to, if such a child were to go into such a marriage.
I can be quite happy about Sylvia when you marry a white man, because the only thing which makes different is only the skin, but the blood is same, no different. That's all.
I think also I don't see any problem in that, because you know, people, they do what they think is right for them. So you cannot stop her marrying to a white man.
As a Christian, I believe in God as well as in Jesus Christ. I go to church every Sunday, and I have a Sunday school class I teach after going to church on Sundays.
Honor your father and your mother. This is a very important command, because if you honor your father and mother and respect them and do as their wisdom teaches you, then you learn to honor all authority. That will mean that you will live peacefully and have a good and stable government, because the members of the government also had a father and a mother who chastised them when they were small. That is why they became such good rulers. That is the idea. But now the picture changes.
Nou verander die prent.
Many people have criticized me by saying that I do not know as much about the political affairs in South Africa as I should know. But I excuse myself by saying that I love art and drama, and as an artist, I don't need to know much about the political affairs of the land, and I'll leave that to my husband or my father or whoever.
As an Afrikaner, I grew up in a house which supported the Nationalist Party, which has been in power in South Africa for almost 40 years now. Very soon, Siska will have the right to vote. Because we're a closely knit family, I think and I expect that she shares the views of her parents. I would expect that when she votes, she would support the Nationalist Party, and I would hope that she would attain the same enlightened views which I hope Elsa and I have, and I wouldn't be disappointed if her views were to become even more enlightened in the years to come.
I think it's necessary for the people to fight, have war in South Africa, because this is what the government have been looking for a long time. They've been killing people, shooting people, innocent people, people who don't know how to carry a gun. So I think it's necessary for them to fight, even for the black people. This is much more necessary because we are having organizations whereby people have been trained to carry guns. The black people won't fight against whites, but they're going to fight against the police who are killing the people.
It certainly is necessary for boys to go to the army after their school training. I just feel that they should be prepared because many of them are still boys when they leave school and they've never met the actual hardships of life. And when they come to the army and they are killed and they have to kill, then many of them can't handle it. The fact that girls aren't asked to go to the army yet isn't, I don't think, any problem. The government will decide when time is ready for girls to go to the army. And when that time comes, I think we'll be prepared to do that. Well, I did think of going to the army, and well, maybe that would be kind of a waste of a time for me, because I'm a woman. No.
Sailing.
Nice here on the water, sunshine, blue seas.
And a regular monthly income.
Oh, it's so relaxing.
It is when we get a check through the door.
Every month, something to look forward to.
National Savings Income Bonds give you a regular monthly income without touching your savings. And you can invest from £2,000 to £50,000.
Across the sea.
We could tile the bathroom with next month.
Now that is something to look forward to.
To
be with you,
to be free.
Don't let your old switchboard tie you down. A new British Telecom Merlin phone system will put more system in your business. Ring Free Phone Merlin.
Don't forget your bonus.
It's a bigger picture bonus, a bonus.
Look for our envelope through your door or at your post office.
Make the most of your money with your Peugeot Talbot dealers' summertime specials. This Horizon special and this Alpine special. Packed with special equipment, with free delivery, road tax and number plates. You save over £500.
You'll get a very special deal on every new Talbot this summer.
Don't miss your Peugeot Talbot dealers' summertime specials.
Good news from OTV. Now you can buy one of my ex-rental videos from just £199, guaranteed.
Ah, there you are. Nice to know after that late film there's still life out there. Time now for Night Thoughts.
Because statements such as "my love is like a red, red rose"
or God is love, cannot be proved rationally, some people are led to think they cannot be true. They are statements about feelings, love of a person, and love of God. But there's no reason why they should be false. Sentiment and emotion are the fuel of faith. They are real to the experience of the believer. They are not less real because they are not experienced by an onlooker. Yet they're often dismissed as sentimentality and emotionalism. But let us be clear about what we're saying here. Sentiment is not sentimentality. Emotion is not emotionalism. Sentiment and emotion are proper responses which draw on the very highest qualities of human nature. Sentimentality is the indulgence of those emotions in a way which obscures reality. It is kissing the photograph and not the person. For many of us, faith is a fragile complex of emotions, sentiments, and knowledge bottled up inside us. Browning wrote that expressing truth consisted of finding a way whence the imprisoned splendor may escape. Thus, the more we speak out about our faith, our feelings of love and compassion, the more we declare the truth that is within us, and the more we help others to see it too.
Quick reminder of weather prospects. Tonight dry, a little cooler than recently. Tomorrow dry again, cloudy early with some sun in the afternoon, a high of 22 degrees centigrade. That's 72 degrees Fahrenheit. Well, that's the weather. They very shortly, in about 6 hours' time, be saying Good Morning Britain to you. And on the programme this morning, there will be featured the international editor of Who's Who, Chaz and Dave with their latest album, and Ian McGregor, NCB chairman, who will be replying to Arthur Scargill's interview of yesterday. Here on Thames, we've got a lot of entertainment coming your way. Here's a brief look at the programmes. The music is from Sade, a little number entitled Smooth Operator. See you tomorrow night.
He's laughing with another girl and playing with another heart. Placing high stakes, making hearts ache. He's loved in 7 languages. Diamond lights and ruby lights. High in the sky.
Well, please make sure that your set is switched off properly.